when I arrived at FIFA, the journey that I started was not an easy one. We had to start really changing the trajectory of what was declared at the time a criminal agency and about to be closed literally down by the US Department of Justice.
Madam Secretary General Fatma Samoura, thank you so much for joining us on The Record. I know you're an incredibly busy woman. I'd like to start with something that you said recently in a statement. You said, "I have been in love with football since I was 8 years old, and I feel honoured to have been taken on this journey." Can you just take us back to that 8-year-old Fatma Samoura, and did she ever think that she would go on to be the most powerful woman in sport?
Well, thank you, Samantha, for having me on The Record. Answering to your question, I was born in the early 60s in a small African country called Senegal, in a big family of 9 siblings, and 6 of them were boys. And in the summer of 1970, when I was 8 years old, I was watching the final at the Azteca Stadium in Mexico City. And I saw for the first time a black man called Pelé winning for the 3rd time the biggest and the most coveted trophy in football. The game was so thrilling with the dribbles, with the atmosphere in the stadium. And at the end of the game that saw Italy lose the game, I felt in love. At the same time, with Pelé, whom I have the chance to meet before he passed away last year, and also with his great game that is football. But unfortunately, during my time, I was not authorized to play football, but I still was able to enjoy the game playing with my 6 brothers in the backyard of our house back then. And a few years later, I got married to a former football player, and it was my husband that really pushed me into accepting the job while I was occupying a very comfortable position with the United Nations. And when this job came to me, I did not want it because it was an outsider to the world of football, but especially because that famous organization was deeply rooted with financial scandals. But once again, my husband was very persuasive. And the thing that really made me laugh, he came one day, he said, "You have to accept this job." I say, "But why?" He said, "Because I'm going to get a free ticket to go and watch that."
My gosh.
As long as I can get a free ticket to watch the FIFA World Cup in Russia in 2018, I will be the happiest man. And I think he was convincing enough for me to decide to leave the UN after 21 years serving as a civil servant and take up a challenging job. And definitely when I arrived at FIFA, the journey that I started was not an easy one. We had to start really changing the trajectory of what was declared at the time a criminal agency and about to be closed literally down by the US Department of Justice. And 7 years later, I'm here in front of you talking about all the gain that we have seen over the past few years on football in general, but in women football in particular. It means also that we have been able to quickly turn the tide of FIFA and really put the boat afloat again and allow millions of young men and young women, but also grown-up football lovers to continue enjoying this beautiful game.
Well, I do want to go back to when you did take up the position as Secretary General. Did you ever feel like, 1, an outsider, and 2, did you ever get any sort of like imposter syndrome, especially as a black woman, because you are essentially entering into a world that is very Eurocentric and very hyper-masculine? So did you ever get intimidated by that?
But at all, because already when I joined FIFA, I was a mature woman. I was more than 50 years old. And during all my career, whether in the private sector, which was the first job I went into after my studies in Europe, were largely dominated by European male. And because also I grew up in a largely male-dominated society, where really I have to find my space and have my voice heard. I was already used to be living a difficult situation and challenging also some of the people who usually a woman would not dare challenging in my part of the world. So the company was such in a difficult situation that we really don't have time to think about my origin or the color of my skin or even my religion. We had an imperative to salvage football and to prevent FIFA from being closed down because we were very close to that stage at that time. And definitely, when my appointment came, it was a big surprise to everybody, including my own children. They could not believe it. But after some time, I think people realized that they had in front of them somebody who really was passionate about football, but also who wanted to restore the credibility and the reputation of such a beautiful governing body. And this was really my focus. We employ every single minutes of our day speaking with our member association, but also speaking to the staff, because the staff was the first one to be affected by the raiding of the Borolak Hotel a few months back. And I remember having a very difficult conversation with some staff and some senior one who were really bursting into tears because they were telling me, Madam, you see this uniform with the FIFA logo, we cannot longer use it on the public transportation here in Zurich because people will mock us or will literally insult us. So it's becoming for us a very difficult situation. And they consider me as somebody that is really going to save FIFA. This is what I was seeing in their eyes.
Yeah.
So this woman with a solid experience in the UN could be also the chance for us to save our job, but also to save the reputation and improve the reputation of FIFA.
And it would seem that you've taken them out of that very difficult period. And even today, we are in Sydney, we're at the Women's World Cup. In your tenure at FIFA, you've overseen two very successful, record-breaking World Cups. I mean, this one in particular has been proven to be probably the most diverse. We've seen our first hijabi footballer and our first Palestinian referee in the Women's World Cup. FIFA's riding on a high when it comes to Women's World Cups. So what happens next for the women's game?
Well, today, already for this tournament, the slogan is taking football beyond greatness. And this is precisely what we have done by really bringing more diversity, but also by partnering with one of the biggest and the most international organization that are the United Nations, by really using this World Cup as a platform on social causes. You've seen the captain of the two teams coming to the games with different armbands every week, sending messages, raising awareness on education for all, but also on gender-based violence, which is particularly an issue in this part of the world, in the Ocean and Pacific island. We have seen also a message around the need to recognize and to respect the right of the indigenous people, and two host country have also a big population that are not being granted the same level of services when it comes to access to football or simply to health or to education. And we wanted to also the world to know that we are not only here to celebrate the good goals and also the beautiful stadiums, but also to recognize that in countries like New Zealand and Australia, there are pockets of vulnerability. And this is also the beauty of this game, which I learned back during my time with the United Nations, that football can be used as an engine for sustainable change in society. And that is everything that this competition with the slogan Beyond Greatness would like to reflect. We wanted also to make it more inclusive by inviting 50 young girls from a very remote and destitute community in the extreme north of the country, but also in among the Maori communities. And for many of them, they were flying on board an aircraft for the first time, and few of them did not even have a proper passport to travel from their small community to come here, just to show everybody that no matter your social situation, football is a simple game and everybody should be part of this game. What is next is even better. We have in the pipeline the Women's Club World Cup, and we are working with all member association on the international match calendar to see how best it can fit into this international match calendar. Jani also made a stand during the last FIFA Congress on really also bringing women into the futsal World Cup. So this is also something that is in the pipeline. And finally, also for the beach soccer, meaning that definitely by 2030, women will be present at all the level of the football ecosystem, from elite football to grassroots football to futsal to club World Cup. And this is something that really made me very proud at the moment that I've decided to step down after 7 years, because my message to the world has always been I don't want people to start thinking about women's football or men's football, but simply football. And we are very close to see that happening. And for African countries, it's also something that we can say we can take pride, because Africa has only four slots in this competition. Three of the team won their matches, and three of them went to the round of 16, which means that once again the gap between European or
It's
the American
closing, it's
football
getting smaller.
and African football is getting smaller. And I always also preach saying that we will see an African Women World Cup lifting this most coveted trophy before the men's, and hopefully by 2027, with this expanded format of the Women's World Cup from 24 to 32 team, we will have one African team like at the last Men's World Cup, Morocco, going to the semis or maybe to the final. Why not? And I think this is no longer a dream. This is a big possibility, not only because people are taking football seriously, because also we have played our part into globalizing the game and investing a substantive amount into each of the member association, but also in helping our 211 member association to develop their own women football strategy, and also to support them in the training on the pitch, but also off the pitch, through the professionalization of the leagues and clubs, but also through the specific leadership courses that we are giving to all football administrators, focusing especially on women who are in football.
Okay. And finally, like you said before, you are leaving at the end of 2023 in December. I'm intrigued to know, how do you want your time at FIFA to be remembered? And how does the organisation look without you? Because you've proven to be a very formidable force and you've been very influential. It's been more diverse. So how does it look without you at the top?
Well, I think that a gentleman called Gianni Infantino was visionary enough to select a woman whom he met already once in a country that was not even her country, Madagascar, and to achieve everything that we have done. He's a wise man, he's a father of four girls, and I'm pretty sure that he will be able to also identify another person, maybe who has even a bigger knowledge of football than me when I started my career 7 years back, to continue leading this organization on the administration front. But I think that during my tenure, people can say yes, we have a more a diverse organization. We see more women being represented, more a small football nation taking the next level in terms of performance. But also, we can say that FIFA is becoming more transparent, and definitely we have also bring a higher level of governance and of oversight for all the funding that we are also investing in football, and definitely where all the languages can be spoken, because after all, football is a universal language that we all speak. So today, we can definitely say that FIFA is focusing on football and on football only, and this is what we would like to be, because we are the world governing body in football.
Madam Secretary General Fatma Samoura, thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to seeing what you're going to do in the future. I know you're going to have a bit of a break, but I'm pretty sure you'll be doing something else
Yes, indeed.
very soon,
Yes.
very soon.
Thank you so much, Samantha.